Hey, scrappy people. Tracy Reed here today, back with day 5 of December Daily. You can see I've already put my little day 5 sticker here from my Stitcher's Twist kit, and that is what I'm going to be using today. This foundation page that I created in one of my December Daily prep videos. I will link it in the description box below. I think I'm just going to do a single page today because I want to tell the story of replacing my daughter's stocking. So last year I went to the store too late, thought about it too late to get the correct letter on her stocking because we needed to change out the letter on her stocking from her dead name to her real name. And I was so bummed last year that I missed that. I felt like a terrible mom. And so she ended up using one of our older stockings. It was like a Darth Vader stocking, I think. And I just felt so crappy about it all year or all season. And so this year I went and bought and ordered her stocking with the W on it in like October. I was so proud of myself that I replaced it in time and that it would be here for this year. So what I did was I just used my silhouette with some of this cardstock from scrapbook.com that I have it from my stash, and I cut out her name and stitched. You can see I've already stitched some of these letters. This is the R. And I'm just going around the outside edge and stitching them because I like the way that it looks like in contrast or in conjunction with the stockings. And then the other thing that I think I'm going to be doing is I think I'm just going to put the journaling back here, but I want those Christmas trees to stick out the top. So I'm going to create a pocket out of my photo, but I think I want to mat it just so that there's a little bit more room for this card to slide in and out. But this is going to be a really simple page other than all of this massive amounts of hand stitching that I've already done and committed to. I'm going to walk you through a fast forwarded version of how I stitch these letters by doing the W, but that is where we're going to start. There's some trim that has stockings on it that I think I might include too from the Stitcher's Twist kit, but yeah, let's get started.
All right, so doing this isn't hard. It just is time consuming. One thing that you really need to watch out for when you're making your holes with your awl is that you're not going too close to the edge of the letter. This cardstock is nice and thick, but if you get too close to the edge, then you definitely will break it. So I'm pulling apart this embroidery floss so that it's only 3 strands, and then I'm just going to tie the ends together so it goes back to 6 strands, but I just am working with less thread at once. So I'm just going through and going back and forth so that my line is nice and solid. Again, it's not rocket science, but it is time consuming. I think doing all 4 letters took me at least an hour of stitching, and it was totally worth it. I love the way that this page came out, but oof, it took a while, a labor of love. I know that while I was doing this, I was thinking about all of the things that I wish for my daughter in the coming year and just, kind of laying intentions into the letters. And it kind of made me want to do this for each of my kids, or at least something similar for each of my kids. So I'm considering that going forward for the rest of the month. Not sure if it's something I'll incorporate this year or maybe next year for my child that is going to be almost 18 next Christmas. We'll see. We'll see what happens. So I've got all of these sewn now, stitched, and I'm just using liquid glue to stick these down because there's so much texture going on the back, and also because they're delicate and thin in places, so I didn't want to use my tape runner. I just want everything to be nice and spaced apart evenly. I'm not going to make the letters crooked at all. I'm just going to go in a straight line all the way down the page. I really love the way that this plays off the stitching of the stocking itself. The stockings have embroidered or stitched on letters for all of our names, so it kind of plays in the same vein as the stockings themselves, and I think that that really is super cool and is a fun design element. So I got this done. make sure all of that is going to dry. And I'm actually not going to do too much for this page. It's already obviously halfway done because I'm using that foundation page that I started in, I think day 6 of my foundation page series. And so I'm going to take this photo of all of the stockings and I'm going to mat it in this pink paper because it matches the whole thing really well. And I want to make it a little bit bigger around the edges so that there's more room for the journaling card to slide in and out. The journaling card and the photo itself are pretty close in size, or at least width, so I wanted to make it just a little bit wider so that I had a little more clearance. And I'm just going to use my tape runner to create rails along the outside edges for that card to slide in. I really prefer to use redline tape for this, but I just ran out and I have not replaced my redline tape. And I forgot that I needed to tape the bottom of this pocket that I'm creating so that the card actually stops. So I pull it back up and now I'm going to add some tape at the bottom here so that it has a place to stop when I'm putting it in the pocket. Silly. And I could not decide where I wanted it to be on this page. I decided to just pretty much center it on the page. I couldn't decide though if I wanted it lower or higher, but there's a lot of sort of dead space on the bottom of the photo. So I'm going to use that space to decorate. So I wanted to use this stocking. It was like the only stocking I had in my stash for this collection, which is kind of weird. But it was just too big and it didn't work. And I didn't love the way that it looked, so I'm just going to say no to that stocking and I'm going to go with the joy word instead. I think maybe I felt like the stocking was just sort of a weird shape. It's kind of like a saggy stocking and I don't think that I love it very much, and I think that was part of the problem. That's why I was trying to cover up so much of it, was because it's just oddly saggy. So rather than committing to something that I just don't really like, I'm just going to go with what I do. So I'm going to put this joy and I'm going to write part of my title on this banner die cut, and I'm going to wrap the two around each other so they're nice and overlappy using my liquid glue. Again, fortunately I have not had a liquid glue mishap since the last time. It was so weird how that top came off, but oh, you live and you learn. Now I pay attention every time. So I'm going to stick this down as well, and then I'm going to handwrite my title, or like part of my title, and it's going to say "This brings joy," because it really did, at least for me. I'm not sure that she cares so much, but I do, so it brought me joy. Sticking down this color cast acrylic piece. The pink matches really well, made me super happy. Now I'm just writing my title, and then I'm going to decorate around this cluster with some sequins and some pearls. I'm trying out some bows that I had stuck right underneath my camera. I thought I wanted to add a bow or two, but I didn't really love the way that it looked. It was a little bit juvenile for an 18-year-old. Anyway, so I'm going to instead grab some of these gold stars and then some sequins and pearls that I have sitting on my desk, just kind of hanging out, waiting for something to do. But I'm just kind of building up this cluster, making it a little bit larger, a little bit more interesting. And I felt like I needed a dot for my J in joy, so I'm just going to use, well, I was going to use that W, but then I decided I might actually need it for something, so let's not ruin it. But I just punched out with my hole punch a little dot, and I'm going to put this on here too. Normally I don't actually care if things are dotted, but this one looked a little odd without the dot, and I think that that really helped it be more legible. Okay, so last but not least, let's grab the sequins and some string. I'm going to add string to the tags on the outside while I contemplate what else I want to add to that cluster. I always go back and forth and sort of do things that I know I want to do while I'm thinking about things that I might want to do. So that's just kind of how I roll. I decided I wanted 2 different fibers on here because I had that bow on the outside. I thought it would be weird if I had two of the same on the top and bottom, and then that weird sticker bow instead in the middle. So instead of doing that, I just did 3 different fibers. Now I'm going to try out a couple of things. Some of these red sequins that I have are just too big, so I try them and I decide that they're too big, too distracting. So instead of using those, after just a second, I'm going to take them back off again. I grabbed some of the glitter that I still had from making pockets in my December Daily Prep series, and I grabbed some of the white sweet sequins out of there. And then I was going to do the star sequins, and I decided I didn't like them either because I already had stars. And so I'm going to use these big bulky pearls, and I think it's going to be okay because I have that big bulky acrylic as well. So I already have lift there, and it's been a few days now and they are still hanging on strong, so I'm going to go with it. Anyway, that is it for this video. If you enjoyed it, I'd love it if you give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. I would love to have you. If you don't already, you can follow me over on Instagram. I'm at Tracy M. Reed. I'd love to see you over there as well. There's a link to the blog post for this video in the description box below with credits and still images. All right, thank you.